You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. We are all sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Strong opinions and your phone calls. Expected here. CBS Sports Radio.
The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. SEC, ACC, and Big Ten coverage like no other. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year long and your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're going to 50.
Pop stars with auto-tune.
Yeah.
And dentists with asking questions.
So, how did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much, we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live, or catch the instant replay.
Take the road less traveled in the newly redesigned Hyundai Santa Fe. With available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you get off the beaten path a little further together. And intuitive safety features that can help you see what's waiting around the bend. Plus, with generous room for 5 and comfortable available Napa leather seating, you can go for more drives as a family without driving each other crazy. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
Get caught up with the big stories from around the world of sports in just a few minutes. Take me out to the ball game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, as Wake Up Y'all is ending. Take Me Out to the Ball Game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Take me out to the ball game. The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
CBS Sports Radio, your home for all things sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, coast to coast. Great sports talk expected here. CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the Handicappers, your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football, year long, and your DFS payouts. True Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers. Welcoming in Bobby the Kid with Joey and Tones Areola with Stephen Troche and Sean O'Toole on the way. With your host, Mac McGee. Welcome to the Handicappers. Good morning. Welcome to the Handicappers as we await Tones and Joey to join us here in a minute. I just got the thing started a little early. They are not late. I'm a little early as wanted to get this thing going because we got so much to cover in such a short time to do it that going to go ahead and get things going here today as we are rolling into week number 3 in the NFL. And already getting a question in here, so let's go ahead and take it from LA Rams 23. Would you start the Rams defense versus the Bucks today or the Titans against the Okay, so Titans versus the Colts at home. It does look like that we're going to get Carson Wentz as a start. I also believe that that's not really that big a deal. Carson Wentz is not that good of a quarterback. Obviously, Brady and company. What I'm looking at here, if you just want to go by the bare bones of it, look at the over-under in Vegas. And the over-under in Vegas tells you they're expecting a high-scoring game out in Los Angeles. The over-under is 56.5 right now. The over-under in Tennessee, in Nashville, is going to be 47.5. Now, I do believe both totals are going to be somewhere around the same. I also believe that with the pass rush that the Rams are going to get on Brady and company, they're going to play a little closer to the vest. I would tend to lean with the better defense, which is the LA Rams. The fact that they have an opportunity for sacks. Brady's not very mobile. They have an opportunity for maybe some turnovers with Jalen Ramsey out there on the edge. And Tennessee's defense is yet to show me that they're anywhere close to a shutdown. They've given up 30 points or more in the first 2 games. So I think I have to put my better defense out here because the Titans will most likely face Wentz, although I have not been impressed with Wentz so far. I just have to say that the Buccaneers as a whole are a better the Rams as a whole are better defense. The Titans are playing a lesser offense, but I say go with the Rams. They are at home, and I think the over-under might be skewed a little high on that. I think 56 is incredibly high number for the over-under to hit, and so I would take the Rams. The rest of the guys will be here any second, and we'll field that question as well. But I think I wouldn't get cute and put the Titans in there because they haven't done anything to show you that they can be trusted on any kind of level. And so there's that. Tones and Joey are on the way, and then Bobby's coming up at the bottom of the hour. And we got Steven and we have Sean coming up in hour number 2, where we'll do the stardom sit-ems. We do that the last half hour of the show from 11:30 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. So make sure to get them in. If you do have questions beforehand, I will answer them on the thread. But if you have put in your stardom sit-ems, we wait until the last half hour. And good luck to everyone here today. Fantasy football week number 3. It's crunch time. There are teams out there that are 0-2. There are teams out there that are 1-1. And it is time to get things going as we await for the always late areolas, and we'll see what's taken up with them. But as we get rolling here, and college football, big college football day yesterday. What about the upset of Clemson? Clemson is done. And for all intents and purposes, their season is now a wash. If you're a Clemson fan, you went into this season as you have most seasons. And here comes Joey joining us. And if Joey isn't late, he isn't here. That's what we have learned with Joey Areola as he joins us. And he looks a little sideways at us right now. Your video's sideways, Joey. I don't know if you're able to. There you go.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Always late and never early, Joey Areola.
Oh, come on. I joined at 50. Sorry, I actually wrote down my DraftKings money today, so at least I got that going for me. But good morning, Mac. I know you've been busy with the baseball. How we doing?
Oh, man, really busy. Have enjoyed it. Have enjoyed all the views on the play-by-play broadcast. We're not doing one today, so I've got other things going on with the family, but we will be back Tuesday, 7:20 p.m. Eastern time, and we're going to bring the entire Philadelphia Phillies versus Braves series to you. And big win for Atlanta yesterday to stay 1.5 in front of Philly. Joining us is Mr. Tones Areola. Tones, how are you?
Great to be back. Another Sunday. They seem to go a little bit quicker when it's football season, but I'm amped to be here. It was another day of games yesterday, another day of games today. I'm ready to roll. We got some big matchups, got some big fantasy decisions, some gambling to talk about. Always a good ass time on the armchair quarterback.
To get everyone caught up to speed on our picks against the spread, we're now 6-4 on the season. Joey and Tones get their first win of the year. They're 1-0, taking Carolina, and Tones took the over in the Cleveland-Houston game. And the only one guy with the losing record, we won't put his name out there on blast, but there's only one guy holding us down, dragging us under. College football, by the way, man, we are killing it. We're 15-5.
I had a boo-boo yesterday, but, that's recoverable.
That's okay, because we got your back. 15-5 on the year in college football. Well, I won't go through all the picks, but a couple of ones that hit Rutgers I took in the points. The Notre Dame game covered for Angelo. Congratulations, Notre Dame fans. That was a nip and tuck game. You see the end of that score, or the score at the end of the game, and you think it was some blowout. That game was nip and tuck all the way. They just had a couple of big plays at the end that blew it out. And Bobby, Bobby's undefeated on Saturdays and Sundays. He stole my pick yesterday, but that's okay.
He's a Steeler.
Because I hit my pick as well, but on Saturdays I am undefeated. On Sundays I'm 1-1. So, but all in all, we're 15-5 and 6-4. So if you do the math there, you're better than I. So there you go. As we go into week number 3, let's go ahead and start with the AFC South and NFC South. Obviously, the big matchup because it's Colts Titans in the AFC South. It looks like Wentz is going to play.
Yeah, and it seemed very, very doubtful about a week ago to this point, as we all know. And we needed him to play today. I'm not saying he's, the best quarterback out there, but he's definitely a lot better than the backup situations we had. We were talking about guys like even Brett Huntley being able to get some snaps. So pretty scary for Colts fans. But, usually we have some good things happen in Tennessee the past few seasons. So I'm hoping something gives there. They're hot. They're going to come out firing. Derrick Henry, if we don't bring him down, this game will be over before halftime. But I'm glad to see Wentz playing. And the team's actually pretty healthy overall, so it should be a good battle.
The line has moved to 5.5 over the week, and that's too rich for my blood. I'm not taking Tennessee minus 5.5. Not in that rivalry. If I was going to lean one way or the other, I would take the Colts, but Wentz's injury concerns me. So what if he goes out there and then he plays like 3 snaps and then you got Eason in the rest of the game and the Titans win by 10 and you're like, son of a, so, I'm a little nervous about that. I will say this. I think that over under is very low. If Wentz is going to play the whole game, 47.5. When did the Tennessee Titans get this shutdown defense that we're all of a sudden we're going to have a low scoring ball game? I think the two are going to air it out. Even if something were happen to Wentz, I'm leaning heavy on it's actually down to 47 even this morning.
Okay. Wow.
So, man,
because the Colts defense, a lot of people obviously coming into the season, the two strengths were supposed to be our defense and offensive line. Well, neither's happened to this point. So I could see the shootout happening today between Tannehill and Wentz, which, might not seem likely in a lot of people's favor if they're trying to put together their lineups. And, we're talking about Titans Colts high scoring game, but the defenses haven't really lived up to it. We've seen it all season.
Do you not think that one of the reasons why the Colts defense isn't playing as well as they could be is that they're on the field a lot because you wear them down and then it's really difficult I don't care how good your defense is. It's very good. It's very difficult to have great stats if you're constantly on the field. And so if Wentz plays a little better, that defense gets a little better.
Yeah, and no doubt that's definitely a truth in the second halves. My biggest disappointment, though, even outside of that, in the first halves, we're just letting up too many big plays. In week 1, we let up 50-plus yards to Tyler Lockett on a couple of occasions. Against the Rams, Cooper Kupp just absolutely destroyed us. We do get Xavier Rhodes back today, our number 1 corner, so that should help. But like you said, if your defense is always on the field, they're getting tired at some point.
Now, I'm going to throw you all a scenario out real quick before we get going with everything else. By the way, Tones, I do want to get your opinion and Joey's opinion here in a second on the first fantasy football question we had earlier just before y'all jumped on. But so I've got a league where I'm 0-2. It's a pretty good roster, but I'm 0-2. I've run into a couple of buzzsaws in the first couple of weeks, but I punted my defense and my quarterback choice till the very end of the draft. They went on a run at quarterbacks like I've never seen. And I was like, I'm not going to go out there and just grab, a guy who's a second and third tier. It's a 1 quarterback league, by the way. A guy who's a second and third tier quarterback in the 10th round. I'll go depth on my side and I'll try to stream until someone really hits. So I've got my eyes on if Zach Wilson starts to take off, if Trey Lance gets playing time, all that kind of stuff. But going into today, I've got Daniel Jones going against I know it's scary. It's scary, man, but it's either that or there's a couple other options that I have out there. I could go Bridgewater at home against the Jets, which is tempting. My concern with that game is the Denver gets up. They
just run the whole time.
Yeah, and they take the air out of the ball, and you're like, yeah, the Broncos won 31-13, but he only had 17 pass attempts. And then other options would be Roethlisberger. I don't trust him. And especially with the injuries and they're saying that he's battling an injury. Winston in New England, Ryan at New York. I'd rather take the young guy who can run than the old guy that can't. And then Wentz is out there on the waiver wire, but we've talked about how we're scared of him. The only other guy that I realistically could stream there would be Jared Goff, and he had a good night on Monday night, but he is playing Baltimore. So I know Baltimore's really more of a name than they are an actual defense right now, but I think I'm making the right choice going with Jones.
I think you are too. I mean, Jones could run, which is what you want in a fantasy quarterback, unless, they're one of the top pocket passers. But I do like Goff. I would stick with Jones, but Goff ain't a bad it's somebody to keep an eye on for sure. The first game of the year, he threw 55 times. Last week, he looked pretty efficient against Green Bay. If he does good this week against Baltimore, more and more people might start buying into his.
I might have to stash him on the bench. Basically, I'm seriously considering it because I've got a couple of guys that I could live with that. I've got quite a bit of wide receivers, and so at the bottom end of my wide receivers, Marvin Jones, Cephas, and Sterling Shepard, I can see me jamming one of those and then having a backup. But one of the teams that needs to turn it around is the Indianapolis Colts defense, because I punted the defense and they dropped them. They panicked and dropped them. I picked them up. Not starting them today. I've got the Vegas defense going at home against a Tua-less Miami Dolphins. But anyways, that's where I'm at with that team. That team is loaded. I've got Devontae Adams, Mixon, Eckler, Montgomery on the bench. I've got Thielen.
Oh, wow.
I've got Mike Davis. So I've got a good team. My only real question I even had going into today is, do I start Thielen or do I start Devontae Smith? I'm a little on edge with starting Devontae Smith because of the quarterback play. And now that it looks like there's a good chance that Dalvin Cook is not going to play, I would think they're going to be
really
around. Yeah.
Yeah. Dalvin Cook looks like he's trending downward. That's what I heard this morning as well. So I think I would go Thielen over Smith personally. Thielen catches touchdowns to begin with, even when it's, not with Cook, and now Cook's out, so more targets are going to open up. And I must say real quick, I do applaud your draft style in a one quarterback league as well. When they start flying off the board, you're almost better off waiting.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're and like, what is going on here?
You could have got Tyrod. I know Tyrod's hurt now, but he was looking really good.
Got him on the IR.
Yep, he was looking really good for those 6 quarters.
You name the guy on the IR, I got him. I got Tyrod Taylor on this team. I've got Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I've got, because they just started dropping, going, screwing. Like, he's on the IR. He's not done for the year. He's only gone for about a month. If I can find a way to win, and I think in the long run, I will end up making the playoffs, and that's all I'm trying to do. Because once I get in the playoffs, I'll figure the rest out. But it's been a rough go because I just happened to run into 2 teams that scored the highest the first 2 weeks. I'm like, are you serious right now?
That's the worst.
It really is.
Like, there is nothing worse than that. I honestly, in fantasy,
it ruins your day a little bit, man. I lost one of my biggest money league. I've lost my first 2 matchups by a combined 4.5 points.
I've thought about doubling down and putting Shepard into the starting rotation today, because I would have the stack of Sterling Shepard to Daniel Jones. He's averaged 9.5 targets the first two games.
And Galladay might be out as well. I know Galladay has not done great yet, but if Galladay's out, that even, increases Shepard's chances of having that much of a bigger game. I know Galladay is questionable and he's trending towards not playing last I heard. So we'll see what happens, but that's another.
It seems insane to bench Thielen for Shepard this early in the year, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, but I kind of like the Thielen play, because now, especially with talking about Cook and everything like that, Minnesota's at home. They're 0-2. They're pretty desperate. I like the Thielen play. I do like that play.
Before the Cook news, I honestly liked Minnesota straight up over Seattle, I think. And I thought Thielen was going to have a big day regardless, but now he might be in line for an even bigger one.
What about Montgomery? I could slide Montgomery out of the slot, out of the flex, and put Shepard there. But I'm like, what? I'm going to bench David Montgomery for Sterling Shepard. I think I'm going to play it safe and leave Shepard on the bench.
Yeah, you'd kick yourself if a guy like Montgomery or Thielen went off on your bench, but you're not going to lose much sleep. Shepard on the bench, he could easily get blanked. Danny Dimes could easily run it. I think Evan Ingram might be coming back today as well, so you never know if Ingram takes some of those targets away either.
Moving on from that, the first question that we got before y'all jumped on was, well, we got a new one. I apologize. I just saw this just coming in. Oh, never mind. It's not a question. It's just stating facts. Brian's chiming in complaining about his fantasy team. No T. Higgins, no Deontay Johnson. The question at hand is, do you start the Colts defense, or I'm sorry, the Tennessee Titans defense at home against the Colts with the question mark at Wentz, or do you go with the Rams defense, a much better defense, but it's going up against the Buccaneers offense? Tones, I'll throw this one at you first, and then Joey, you respond.
This is tough, and it's ironic how both defenses play each of our teams. So, but the way the Bucs offense is playing, I know they're without AB today. And I know their run game hasn't 100% been there, but the way Tom Brady is throwing the football right now, it'd be hard to convince myself to start a defense against that Buccaneers offense. And I must say, the way they handled Aaron Donald the past 2 seasons, the past 2 matchups, Aaron Donald did not sniff our quarterback. L.A. Marpet's done an incredible job. Then when Marpet was out, we had a couple of O-linemen hold their own. So I think not that I'm endorsing the Titans defense, but I think they're a safer play than the Rams defense.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off you, unfortunately for myself, Carson Wentz could play one play and re-aggravate the ankles again, either one. So if you see Eason or Huntley, that Titans defense, I don't care how bad it's been so far, they will feast off of these 2 guys. So I think you start the Titans here because Tom Brady's hot and the Colts quarterbacks are not.
All right. I went with starting the Rams defense. I'm going off the fact that it's a better defense. They're at home. I think that over-under is way too high.
Yeah, I actually predicted it to kind of be low score and lower than some people think. On our Buccaneers, I said 26-21 Bucks.
I see something like that, maybe even lower scoring. Remember the last time that Brady went up against the Rams, it was a snooze fest in the Super Bowl. So I think you're going to see it's a lot of these heavyweight fights in the first half. They kind of punch and feel and kind of jab, right? No one's throwing haymakers. So I can see a really low scoring first half, which is why I do like the under today on that game. But back to the fantasy aspect of it, I'd be a little nervous starting the Titans defense. I don't care who's playing quarterback. I don't care if I was out there playing quarterback. I just figure I can hit a 2-yard slant to Pittman, and he's going to bust through that weak secondary of the Titans and be gone. And so I'm afraid if I start the Rams, at least I have really good players trying to make good plays in a big game. If I start the Titans, I'm going and saying, I'm hoping that a team that has looked terrible so far is also going to magically turn around today. And I'd also be banking on the fact that Wentz is not going to play the whole game, that he's going to get injured. And I'm starting the Titans against against Eason, which if I knew that, I'd say give me the Titans defense.
Right.
And both Colts defense scored a touchdown last week on a punt. So you never know. Fantasy defenses are touchdown dependent. Colts proved they could score on they could score points. The Colts today is what I'm trying to say. They could make the Titans not that great today. Colts could create points defensively and special teams. They have a good kicker as well. So it's not like, the Titans defense over the Bucs is a no-brainer, or over the Rams is a no-brainer. The Rams, like you said, have Donald and Ramsey. So that speaks for itself right there.
You want to talk about something I never thought I would do in 2021. So I went ahead and picked up Goff to set him on the bench for needing depth at quarterback, because my quarterback is very, very shallow at this point. How about I dropped Marvin Jones? Because if you've got Daniel Jones, you kind of want to have the stash of Shepard in good matchups.
Right.
You got Goff, you kind of want the staff of Cephas. So I'm going over here playing the odds of the Giants and Lions passing game.
Woo!
And lead me to a championship, baby. That draft went terribly wrong.
Dan and Don.
I like Cephas though. Cephas's potential. He scored touchdowns.
I'm just laughing about the fact that I'm dropping Marvin Jones to pick up Cephas.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching, I'm going, realistically, I don't want to lose Jones, but it makes more sense if I'm going to have these two quarterbacks to have these two receivers.
Correct.
But anyways, moving on from that, what's your one bold prediction and one cold prediction? Tones, I'll start with you.
One bold prediction that I like today in fantasy, and I mean, we're talking about him. I think that people are still undersell. I said it last week, actually. Jared Goff. I'm sticking with Jared Goff here. I think that Goff is going to have a big fantasy week, even though it's against Baltimore. I think Baltimore will get up, and I think Goff is going to have a good fantasy game. I think Detroit's going to have to throw the ball a lot, and both of their running backs could catch passes as well. That is key for a guy like Goff to get Jamal Williams back there, along with DeAndre Swift back there as well. So I'd look for those guys to have I'd look for Goff to have a nice game as well. And then one guy that I'm not liking today, as we talked a little bit about earlier, he's banged up a little bit. Ben Roethlisberger, he's only started right now in 6% of CBS fantasy leagues. Last week it was 20. Next week it might be down a little even more. So I think Big Ben might continue to trend cold today. I think that they're going to use a running game there in Pittsburgh. If I'm evaluating fantasy quarterbacks and I'm in a deeper league, I'm liking Goff stock right now, and I am not liking Ben Roethlisberger's at all.
What say you, Joey?
Yeah, for my cold and bold, I'm going to put the down arrow on Joe Mixon today against Pittsburgh defense. They have a ferocious front seven. They had a bad loss at home to me. I know it's the 2-0 Las Vegas Raiders, but that was a disappointing performance. I think that defense really comes to play today, and in fact won't even let Mixon in the end zone, which I think would be a big down for him. And then my up might surprise some people, but I also took him in my DraftKings lineup. Odell Beckham Jr. against the weak Bears secondary. I believe he's playing today, right? He's not like going to sit out.
He's playing today.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go Odell Beckham getting a touchdown today in his first performance back. I think Baker tries to get him involved early against that weak Bears secondary.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the DFS lineups of integrity as we get these squeezed in. And basically what we're doing here, y'all, we do a competition against each other, and we do our a lineup on DraftKings, and we normally pick the large slate, which is 13 games today. And we'll go ahead and start with Tones. What is your lineup of integrity as you're going to go head to head with all of us?
Last week, I will say, I think I came in second. Mac, you led the way last week. So that was, it was fun doing this. Today I had my Bucks represented last week. I'm going to stick with some of them here. I did use all my budget. I got Tom Brady for 6,800 at quarterback. I got Lenny F as one of my running backs. Bruce Arians. I know starter is a word thrown around loosely, but he did reconfirm Lenny F is starting today. I spent 5,000 on Lenny F. I spent 6,000 on Alexander Madison. Look for him to step up without Delvin Cook, perhaps. I spent 6,100 on Godwin. He's been really good this year with Tom Brady. I spent 8,400 on Tyreek Hill. He had a huge week one, nothing last week. Look for him to rebound this week. I spent 7,400 on Lockett. He's had monster games the first 2 weeks, kind of scary. Metcalf might be lurking, but it's not like Metcalf's done awful. So I think Lockett shows consistency. And then by the time I got all that star power, I was down I was down to the nitty gritty, but I got Mike Gesicki as my tight end for 3,800. I think he's a good value pick today. I think Raiders could get exposed by him. I got Peyton Barber for 4,300. Josh Jacobs is doubtful today. So I think Peyton Barber could find his way into the end zone a time or two. And then by the time my defense came, I was down to pennies. But I think, last week I took the Colts and they scored me a touchdown. Not that the Colts are this bad of a defense, but this week I'm stuck with the Jets. They are against the Broncos. They could cause a couple turnovers or something. You never quite know. Defense is all about scoring. So we'll see if the Jets could give me a touchdown, but that's my lineup and the money spent.
All right. And Joey, what say you?
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm going to start off with Baker Mayfield at 6,000. I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor at 6,700 as my running back 1. Running back 2, I'm going to go David Montgomery at 6,100. As I mentioned in my bold pick, I'm going to take Odell Beckham at 5,300. I feel like he just has – they're going to get him involved. They need to because he's just that type of player with mentally and stuff like that. I duplicated tones here on one wide receiver, Chris Godwin at 6,100. I think Ramsey will, he'll shut down his part of the field most times, but I think Godwin will leak free. Great AJ Green, 4,500. I think against Jacksonville, he did have a touchdown last week against Minnesota, so I think he could have another good game today. Kyle Pitts hasn't done a ton so far, but I choose him, 4,900. They're at the Giants. And then in my last flex position, I'm like, crap, I have so much money left. I'll take Nick Chubb, 7,600. I think at home they try to ground and pound most of the time against the Bears. And then I had $100 left to spare after taking Colts defense at 2,700. That left me with $100 left.
All right. And looking at mine real quick, I'll go ahead and do mine because we just won't have time later. I went a little crazy today. I went and took Justin Fields as my quarterback. Yeah.
Hey, Chicago's loving that. Our Chicago listeners are loving that.
And I stacked. Well, I'll get to my stack in a second, but I took Derrick Henry at 8,600. I think they're going to pound the rock to him, and that's going to be the gameplay. And the hope is he breaks one or two free. I went with David Montgomery, running back for the Chicago Bears at 6,100, and then Julio Jones. So I went Bears and Titans heavy in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I just looked when you look at the fact that the Colts have the 29th ranked passing attack against wide receivers right now in fantasy. And I don't think that they trust AJ Brown because he's dropped too many passes. I think it'll be heavy Julio Jones today. And then in a game where I think there's going to be some garbage time points, Marvin Jones, 4,900, I would have took him. And I stacked Allen Robinson at 6,200. I'm going to keep playing this until it hits. Kyle Pitts, 4,900 at tight end.
Same with me, man.
it's a good value if
right?
he does what he's supposed to do. And I think this is going to be a really high scoring game in New York today. And then I went with Damian Harris at 5,600 because I think he's going to get the volume. I think that's going to be a really low scoring, boring ball game. I'd be shocked if that thing reached like a 30-30 type thing. I think you're going to be looking at a 13-10, 16-12 type of ball game. And so because of that, I didn't have any money left, so I took the Jaguar defense. And I'm hoping West Coast going East Coast this morning. That line is up to 9 points, by the way.
9 now? It's all the way up to?
Yes, it was up to 9 points. And I don't know if it's dropped since, but it's up to 9 points. It was 7.5 all week long. That's telling you a lot of money came in on Arizona. And I'm just saying, beware. That's a sucker bet to give up that many points on the road. A West Coast team kicking off at 1 o'clock Eastern. That's a sucker. But the thing stinks. This line stinks so bad. I actually took the Jaguars on my own with the +9 this morning. It's going to be a close game. I believe. I think they're bound to stub their toe. They should have lost to Minnesota last week. The Tennessee game, I don't think is indicative of how either team is going to play all year. I think Tennessee came out flat and Arizona came out jacked. And so the early market correction is, man, Arizona's going to be good. They're going to blah, 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 blah. They're going to go to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's terrible, blah, 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 blah. This is about the time that you lay an egg. It wouldn't surprise me if Jacksonville actually got the upset. So,
if their coach wasn't Urban Meyer, I could agree with you. But since it's Urban Meyer, he's trash. And I think they'll continue to be trash until he's gone.
But because it's Urban Meyer, I doubt that he slept this week. He is uncovered every rock trying to figure out how to win in the National Football League. And
did you hear that quote that he shared last week
about Alabama?
Every team play every week in the NFL is like playing Alabama in college. It's like, yes, this is a big boy leagues. Every pro in the NFL is the top of the top in every college program. It's expected. I'm just interested to see if he ends like Bobby Petrino at this point,
or ends like Urban Meyer, and he does. because he does like at every point. Fake heart attack, something, something's gonna happen. Oh, my leg's tingling. I don't feel like I should be coaching anymore. Is Southern Cal hiring? Let me go out there and kick the crap out of the Pac-12 for the next 10 years. I'm really surprised when it's all said and done. I banged the table about this for a couple of years, and I'm really surprised that at the end of last year, Southern Cal didn't fire Helton and go hard after Meyer. I'm surprised by that. And when they didn't do it, and I think he was expecting it, he said, all right, then we'll try this NFL thing. I'll go to Jacksonville where I'm loved, and I'll get the number 1 pick, and we'll see what we'll see. He might be a little too hard-headed to quit after his first year. They're not going to fire him.
No.
Shad Khan is, look how long he held on to Marone.
You could say at least the Jaguars, at least between Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence, and even though it was brief, Tebow, hey, they're drawing interest. They're making some money over there. So it's something new for them. Kudos to them for trying something outside of the box and getting some big figures over in Jacksonville.
And they also have a new complex that they're in the process of building. They hope to have it done in about a year or so, give or take. But that's supposed to bring a lot of traffic, a lot of excitement to the downtown Jacksonville area near the stadium. And so this owner's all in on the big picture of it. He'll do whatever it takes to keep Meyer to at least open that thing up. And then once he opens that thing, because all a Jaguar fan is, 9 times out of 10, a Jacksonville Jaguar fan is a hungover Gator fan. They were at the Gator game last night, and they're getting up this morning, getting some Bloody Marys rolling. They go, let's go watch this terrible Jaguar team. And most of them aren't going to pay attention. They're going to go sit out in the seats in the hot sun. They'll say to heck with this by about halftime and go get themselves some cervezas at a local pub, and it is what it is. And that's why I think it's a sneaky game for Arizona, because you can damn near fall asleep in that stadium.
What the heck's up with James Robinson? I have him in a couple fantasy leagues. Do you think James Robinson gets going today?
He better. I've got him in one league. It's a big money league, and he has royally screwed me. Screwed me. And I benched him last week. Probably should have started him, but my options were so bad. I would say, what the heck with this? I took a swing and a miss on Hines last week, who didn't do anything.
Sorry.
But well, you had nothing to do with it. But
no, I know.
But his talent is there. It's Urban Meyer not using him. That's what's dumbfounding about the whole thing. It's not like you're sitting here going, oh, well, what's happened to James Robinson? I think he's lost it. No, when he touches the ball, he's moving it. But he is so hard-headed, Meyer are on making sure that his guys play. So he didn't draft James Robinson, right? So because of that, it's like he feels like he has to stick with Carlos Hyde. You kidding me? Carlos Hyde? Seriously? Are we doing Carlos Hyde now?
Right? It's like 3 years ago.
That's the thing in 2021, a Carlos Hyde sighting. So it's just it's jackassery is what it is. And I hope to God something comes through here, because if not, I've got a league where there's a good chance I'm gonna be 0-3. He started freaking Moore and Cooks, and they both went for 20 points. This is a league that's very difficult to score in. So it's ridiculous. So anyways, welcome to Bobby on the show. Bobby, how the hell are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'd be doing better if Florida State didn't suck so bad. But
I'm shocked Bobby ain't chomping right now, welcoming his way in.
I wasn't too proud of the first half for Florida yesterday, but we finished strong.
You had a scare last night, didn't you? I bet you were.
Yeah, the first half was a little bit of a scare. Yeah, second half we pulled away though, so not too many.
Right. Well, Tennessee's still in the rebuild, but I was impressed with what Tennessee did. It tells me that Heupel might have them going in the right direction.
Potentially.
All right, yeah, smug son of a gun. You know, it's real easy. It's real easy to be a Gator fan, right?
It is. Yeah.
Tennessee, and he goes, you know what? I'm a Gator fan because Tennessee's not any good. It's much more difficult for those Tennessee fans to sit through. It builds character. So
I couldn't be a Tennessee fan. They've got it rough. I'll admit that. And believe me, I really don't like Tennessee, and their fans have been obnoxious for a long time. But I will say, there's been games that I kind of root for them out of pity. I do. It sucks.
See,
they don't deserve to see a team that bad.
Even matter. Don't root for me out of pity. Don't you ever root for me out of pity.
They're gonna have to do that for Florida State soon, I think.
I was a little bit pulling for them in the Notre Dame game. I do not like Notre Dame, but I also kind of wanted to see the Mackenzie Milton story.
Bobby is just killing all the good vibes today. What is going on? The undefeated guy is killing us.
I'm enjoying his presence.
No, I'm kidding.
I'll tell you something right now. The Notre Dame is going to vault up into the top 10 again.
Yeah.
Tennessee's going to have, Florida's going to have their hands full against Georgia. That's all. And man, I hit that nail on the head yesterday, didn't I, Bobby? I was like, this is not enough points. How is Vanderbilt even going to score? They lose 62-0. The line was 36 and a half at kickoff. I got it 34 early in the week. I was like, this is absurd.
I think it was 35-0 after the first quarter.
It was. I was covering. I was like, mic drop. Championship. Screw it. I'm done. I was like, there's no way that Vanderbilt's going to cross the 50-yard line. I'm safe. All right. If all of a sudden Vanderbilt covers, I'm going to ask for some kind of an investigation because somebody's on the take. You watch Vanderbilt, it's gotten worse. They bring the head coach in, is like, oh my God, y'all are Florida Stating over here, man. You're getting worse every week. You're not getting better. Let's go ahead and dig into some of these NFL lines as we've got some interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, right before we do that, Bobby, give us your lineup of integrity, and then we'll jump on the NFL lines that we like.
Awesome. All right. So I got Daniel Jones at quarterback for 5,800. He's going up against a really bad Falcons defense. You've seen it the last 2 weeks. I could see him having a big day. He looked great against Washington last week, and if he plays anywhere near that, he should put up around the same amount of points against the Falcons. At running back, I got Chris Carson for 6,400. He's going up against the Vikings, who their run defense hasn't been particularly good. They let Joe Mixon kind of run it up on them on week 1, and both the games they've been in have been high scoring. So I anticipate a lot of scoring in that game from all players. Cordell Patterson's my second running back for only 4,600. He had a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown last week. He's been a lot more involved than I anticipated. He's kind of taken all the snaps from Mike Davis. So I could see him putting up enough points to definitely be worth 4,600. One of my receivers is Marvin Jones Jr. for 4,900. He's kind of quietly put up 18 and 17 in the last 2 weeks in fantasy. And he's going up against a very banged up Cardinals secondary. Byron Murphy, he's questionable. Marco Wilson, he's also questionable. So I could see Marvin Jones having a big day today for cheap. My other receiver is Sterling Shepard. He's kind of been the main scorer in that Giants offense receiving core. Galladay's kind of faded out of the picture in that aspect, but I expect Shepard to have a pretty big day along with Jones. Then Robert Woods, he's my third receiver for 5,700. He's going up against the Bucs defense, which is, I believe, 31st in receivers fantasy points allowed. So I could see Woods having a big day. My tight end is Darren Waller. I had to allocate some of that money somewhere that I've been saving up, and I think Waller's going to have a big day against Miami's defense. My flex is Cortland Sutton for only 6,000. With Jerry Jeudy hurt, Sutton had a big week last week, and I anticipate him doing that again. Maybe not to as much points, but I anticipate him being worth 6,000. And then my defense, I got the Giants. They're going up against the Falcons. I think they're the most expensive defense I could afford, and I think they'll probably force a couple turnovers against Matt Ryan's offense.
All right, and so there we have it. So that's 4 of the 6. We'll get the other 2 when they join at the top of the hour. Let's get into the lines as let's go ahead and let's talk that Bucs Rams game. It's the Bucs are, depending on what line you're looking at, where you're looking at, they're anywhere from a 1 point favorite to a pick'em. It went down to a pick'em out in Caesar Sportsbook earlier this morning. So I've got it at -1. The over/under has moved down to 55.5. I got it at 56.5 earlier in the week. And we'll go around the room here. We'll start with our Bucks fan, Tones. Where do you like this?
I love it. And I like it for several reasons. Being a Bucks fan, especially the past year and a half, a lot of spreads are out of our favor. We're given big points, and the spread just turns you off. I have the spread at -0.5 point, so essentially a pick 'em. Odds are it's not going to equate to a tie. I love the Bucks today, -0.5 point. How often can you bet on a team this good pretty much in a pick 'em? I know they're going to the West Coast. I know that, that's a far journey for them, but it's actually the same equivalent flight from Chicago to California as it is to Tampa to LA. It's a little over 4 hours. I was surprised by that. So it's not like it's, going to jet lag him much. And honestly, the Colts should have beat the Rams last week. The Colts should have won that game by at least 7 points. They gave it
a huge time difference.
Yeah, there's a huge time difference, but when you got pros like Brady, Gronk, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin on your team, I don't think the time difference.
All of them expect to be in bed by 8 o'clock is my point.
Hey, and they're going to end the game. Maybe they're
going to be playing football during the blue plate special that they normally are checking out in South Florida. So it could be a thing.
No, actually, they've been.
By the way, can you repeat after me after last week? Tony Jones.
Stop with Ronald Jones.
I knew that was coming.
Garbage.
I knew that was coming.
He was one of the most dropped players in fantasy football all this week after I talked about it last week. I was watching because I kept watching his stat line. I was like, if he goes off this week, I'm never going to the end of this.
He had 2 really bad plays last week.
You're never going to hear the end of this. I told you he's garbage. Get him off your fantasy team. He's dead weight at this point.
He had 2 really bad plays last week, which did hinder his ability in last week's game. He had a clear first down catch where he ran out of bounds before getting the first down. Bucks almost turned it over on downs. That was not good. And then he missed pickup block and pass protection and almost got Tom Brady killed out there. So between those 2 plays, he got yanked out of the game. And then this week on social media, he was going at it with a Bucks reporter this week. So we'll see how Rojo rebounds. It seems like, he's just out of it right now mentally a little bit. We'll see what happens this week.
You know what I hear when I hear this? I hear the Top Hat and Kane coming out, and it's hello, my baby, hello, my honey, hello, my right. Put your Top Hat and Kane away. We don't need the song and dance. Ronald Jones is done. He hasn't had 2 bad plays last week. He's had 2 bad seasons. It's over.
Hey, last year was a hell of a season. He would have been one of the leading rushers in the NFL if he never contracted COVID. And I was talking to Evan Winter of Bucks Sports Illustrated yesterday, and he broke down the film of Ronald Jones' first 2 games, and he is actually running the ball well when he does get touches. It's just that he's not getting his fair share of touches. So if Ronald Jones does get his touches, you'll be eating your words, my friend. But until that, hey, Evan Winter, a great film expert.
When they needed to move the ball in the postseason, who did they go to?
Yeah, that's because Rojo came off surgery and COVID. He was never the same after that.
Here we go. Top Hat and Kane. Yeah, I'm just telling you, man. I see it with my own eyes. I watch it with my own eyes. Ronald Jones is constantly getting caught behind the line of scrimmage, constantly running into contact. And if it happens to Fournette, he fights through it. He did it in Jacksonville. This isn't a pro Leonard Fournette because I'm really not that big a fan of Leonard Fournette. He's okay, but it's more of the fact that A, you can't trust a Brady running back ever in the history of fantasy football. And B, I think Jones is a fine football player, but he's a terrible fantasy football player.
There you go. At least you said, okay.
He's fine. He's fine. If you want him on your football roster, he's fine. But you have him on your fantasy roster. That was my point last week.
Hey, that's all I wanted to hear is you admitting that he's a decent football player to be rostered. I'd be interested to see him in San Fran or like Denver next year, honestly.
I bet you would love to see him in San Fran or Denver next year, as long as he's not in Tampa.
No, I prefer him and Lenny F back on it, but we're not. There's no way we're gonna keep him. You look at our free agents, and it's a grocery list, man. That's for another day, though. But it's ugly.
All right, so you're taking the Bucks -1 and the over under. Are you thinking? I'm thinking it's going to be well under.
I'm thinking under. I think Bucks win in a lower scoring one. I got Bucks at -0.5, and I would lean under. I know a lot of people are talking like it's going to be the craziest shootout since God's green earth, but
every time they build that up, that's not good.
Exactly, and that's why I'm going.
You get a shootout when you're like not paying attention, and all of a sudden the Jets and Broncos. You go, why is that 41-40? What did Zach Wilson all of a sudden learn how to run to read a cover 3? So that's Anytime they build that up, I never buy into it, especially with 2 good defenses. I don't care if there are injuries. The defenses are good. They're not okay. They're good defenses.
Correct. And Bucks have a really good run and Darrell Henderson's out today as well. AB's out today as well. Couple offensive guys are out today, which could also affect.
Neither quarterback is what you would consider mobile, right? So I think you can lean to some 3 and outs, some feeling each other out. And I think the Bucks probably win because they are the better team. But if it's in Los Angeles, it makes me nervous. Bobby, what say you? You definitely watch this division being a Cards fan. What say you?
Oh yeah, I'm hoping for a Rams loss today. I want any
what you're hoping
any NFC West.
We're talking about
I hear you. This is a tough game. I think it's going to be very close. And opposite of you guys, I think this could be a high scoring game. I hate to kind of buy into the hype like you mentioned, but I think the Bucks will win. I think they'll cover the spread because the spread's only a point, so it's pretty much
Does any team score 30? Is my question. Because if you don't see one of the teams scoring 30, it's going to be very difficult to break that 55.5 point variance.
I think the Bucks might just get over 30.
So 31, you would basically need 31 to 27, 26 to be safe.
I'm saying if I had to make a score prediction right now, I'm going to say 31-28 Bucks win.
Oof. That's too much for my blood. So you're saying 59. I would bang that all day long. Joey, what say you?
I'm going to go Bucks 28 and the Rams 23. I think it does miss the over and stays under. And, like you guys said, I've watched a lot of both of these teams this year, especially Rams played the Colts and now obviously being with Tampa Tones over there. So the defenses are better than they're acting like these are.
Careful what you say. Your brother put you in a headlock over this one, man. Just calm down.
I'm looking over my shoulder.
There's a reason why we keep them in 2 separate rooms during the show.
That is true. Even further if possible sometimes. But these defenses, I feel like they're acting like these are just 2 average defenses. These are
average.
No, I'm saying they're acting like it. They're acting like these are.
Okay. I was like, what?
No. With the star power at each of these defenses, how could you just say, oh, take the over? I'm taking the under, and I'm taking the Bucks 28-23.
This is a little off topic, not really, but have y'all run across this video where I forget who the guy is? He's one of these, idiots on YouTube like us. But anyways, he's interviewing Aaron Donald, and he's reading him a quote from when Aaron Donald first came into the league, and the quote was this guy trashing Aaron Donald, saying he's not going to be good because of his name. His name's Aaron. He's never going to be any good on a defensive player named Aaron. And Donald's like, no, I don't know who said that. And it was the guy reading him the question that said it. First of all, it was kind of funny, but at the same time, I was like, that's a really stupid take to have, man. Like, some guy's not going to be good because of his name.
Come on, man.
Yeah, dude. What is this? 1953?
He had a lot of nerve to say that in front of Aaron Donald too. I'll say that.
Yeah, exactly. Because he was in the
ballsy move.
Hope you don't see him in the streets.
I mean, he was within punching distance of him.
Yeah.
And they weren't sitting next to each other, but the same token, you're not getting out of your chair before Aaron Donald does and decides that he's going to pancake you, right? So you better have your eye on some kind of a weapon nearby. The fireplace poker, something. I'm grabbing something. We're not doing this. I can tell you that.
Aaron Donald, have you seen the video of him training with knives?
Training with knives.
Knives, yeah. He has a coach who he has knives and like he puts his hands up to like block them. It's a wild, but you have to look it up afterwards. But
The
I don't know
answer
if
to the question is who is JPP? He's gonna be missing fingers. What an idiot!
He's out today too, so that's a hit for the Bucs defense. JPP is out today, but that's why they drafted a pass rusher.
Why were him and Donald juggling knives last night or something?
No, JPP has 3 injuries going on right now. The guy, he just cannot stay healthy. He's been an energizer since coming to the Bucs. He's been a big part of rebuilding this Bucs defense to where they once were, but he cannot just stay healthy.
He loves fireworks.
Yeah, he loves fireworks and he loves doing it. Hey, the man has fun and he's a badass with 3 fingers on one hand. God bless. If any other football player had 3 fingers on one hand as a defensive end, I'm not sure they'd still be playing with a broken neck on top of that. So pretty incredible career from Jason Pierre-Paul. And he still has
Ronnie Lott's still better than a guy who chooses to get his finger chopped off so he doesn't miss a playoff game. That is the epitome of what you would call a man's man right there.
I'll tell you that, Tones.
Now, conversely, if I'm making millions a year, when I'm not on the field, I'm in bubble wrap. I'm not juggling knives or playing with fireworks or anything. I'm in bubble wrap. I'm going to be like in some kind of deprivation tank sink. I'm assuming that's what Tom Brady does.
What were you saying, Bobby?
Hey, I like what I've seen from Joe Tryon so far. He's looked great. He looked very good.
A lot of people are high on him, and he sat out last year because of COVID, so he's fresh, and he's been playing. I mean, he's rotated from linebacker to edge rusher. He's played a little safety a couple plays already. Man, he's been incredible, and everything Bucs fans have hoped for and more. So we feel very confident with him filling in for JPP today.
GT 500, by the way, is predicting the Bucs to win 37-17. And if
who the hell is?
And if AB was healthy today, you could add another 9 points. So obviously, a big Bucs fan.
Wow.
Give me some of that, man. Quit Bogart and puff get.
puff pass.
We need to get him on the show, man. That's we love you, GT. Keep pumping him.
Yeah, that's what we need is you and him just spooning each other, stroking each other's hair, talking about how the Bucs will never lose a game ever again.
They're both wearing Ronald Jones jerseys.
Hey, while Armchair has his Jacksonville hat on and Titans jersey on, rooting to who could finish second in the AFC South. Yeah.
Hey baby, look out. Look out, we're hot, baby. We're hot. We're on a 1-game win streak. We're hot. And Bobby better be careful of them Jaguars.
Oh, boy.
I'm scared.
You should
nervous.
Be. You don't even have to tune in today, Bobby.
I tell you though,
if always knows what we don't, and when you put someone up there in a high road spread at 7.5 and it climbs, they're doing that so you jump on. So that you say, well, you know what? They can still cover, and I'm going to jump all over. Man, they're just going to kill Jacksonville. And then, okay, how did they know the final score was going to be an 8-point tally? Right? They're just like, it's
that garbage touchdown. That one right at the end there, the dump in where they cover the spread. Those are the killers.
That'll be the big news story tomorrow. Is how much money Vegas made off of the Jacksonville Jaguars covering. And how much money was lost in the state of Florida laying the money to the Buccaneers.
Ooh.
Yeah. Look out, Rams. I will be pulling. I pull for the Bucs, but sometimes I feel like that the new fandom, the new fan base of the Buccaneers that wasn't around a couple of years ago, they think that they just can't lose. This is still the National Football League, and you're putting here's the deciding factor. Gronk was in Los Angeles last night. Would you start him on your fantasy team?
Where'd he wake up?
Exactly.
That guy could get 5 minutes of sleep, roll out of bed, and still score 3 touchdowns.
Gronk was in Los Angeles last night. He's not playing the Chargers. He's playing the Rams. And he was turned. He was.
People are underestimating the Rams offense, though. I mean, we can't ignore that they have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp.
I think you're underestimating the Los Angeles nightlife and what because Gronk's in Tampa, which has a good nightlife, but he's just been dropped in the middle of Los Angeles.
Oh no!
He might go AWOL. you better check that. You better check your updates before kickoff of that game. Make sure that Gronk didn't he's chilling in Mexico City right now. Cervezas and senoritas. Football. Is that today? Oh man.
I think you're right though, Bobby. I do. Robert Woods is probably the guy to watch on the Rams today. That's what I said in my Buccateers podcast as well. Cooper Kupp's been the receiver to have, but today I think someone to keep an eye on is Robert Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a given. Woods and Kupp are always in your lineup unless like you're in like a 6-man league and you got a ridiculous receiving core. We're coming up towards the end of it, so let's go ahead and get your locks of the day. Curious to see where we're going with this. Joey, let's start with you.
Yeah, so coming off my Carolina lock, I want to stay hot here, but I don't feel great about even though it's my lock. I'm taking them because they played so disappointing last week. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to give the points. I think a lot of people today are going to stay away from that game or take Cincinnati because of what they saw from Pittsburgh a week ago. But Cincinnati looked like crap in Chicago last week. Joe Burrow had 3 picks in a row, literally 3 picks in a row. And Pittsburgh's defense is top notch. I know they're banged up. They have some injuries, but a lot of people
TJ Watt's not going to play today.
Yeah. And I mean, that's never, obviously you don't want to lose a talented player like that, but I just think Steel City comes together. Big Ben, I know he has the left pec issue, but that doesn't affect his throwing arm. So I think Pittsburgh finds a way to win by about,
his boobies hurt.
I'm going to go win by 6 for Pittsburgh.
His boobies hurt.
Yeah, he's got an areola problem.
Titties. Exactly. All right, so what is your lock of the day, Tones?
I'm going with Jets spread. They're getting 10.5. I got the line at that's touchdown, field goal, and then you got that half point.
I was waiting for you to say, "Screw you, McGee." Robert, I'm taking Ronald Jones on whatever the over under on his rushing yards is today.
Hey, I might have to lock that one in now. Thanks for recommending that. No, but I think Jets cover today. They played some bad football last week. Zach Wilson had 4 interceptions at that, but they go on the road here. A lot of people are high on a Broncos team that wasn't expected to do much, but the Broncos have tallied off wins against the Jaguars and against the Giants so far. So it's not like they've been, killing world beaters out there to start.
Something else too, when you look at that, I don't mean to cut you off, but the Jets are a 10-point underdog in a game that's only expected to be scored 41 points is the over under. That's pretty difficult to do to cover that spread if it's going to be that low scoring of a ball game, which I think it will be a low scoring ball game. I don't know 41, but I don't expect that to be a real high scoring game.
Yeah, I don't expect high scores at all either. I think we see a lot of running today. I think that we see a lot of the rookie running back from the Jets today. I think he could burst onto the scene today. So we'll see if he could help out some fantasy owners out there. But I'm going Jets 10.5. I think Broncos probably win by a field goal or touchdown, but I like the Jets to cover here for sure.
I'm showing 10, but we'll give you the hook. And if you're betting online, buy that extra hook always.
Well, I'm getting 10.5. I don't have to buy it.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But if you're not getting it, go ahead and get that hook. I normally do. It cuts into your profit a little bit, but how many times have I been burned by when it is a conventional number, if it's 10 or it's 7, 14, etc. I normally, especially in the National Football League, I'll tend to buy the hook. I don't buy much more than that, but I'll tend. Now Jacksonville getting 9, I normally wouldn't mess with that because not a lot of games come down to 9 points, right? But it's usually an 8-point, 7-point win, something like that. But one big thing, Tones, what's your one big thing as you walk off here today?
One big thing as I walk off today is the Buccaneers are going to be the best team in the NFC and the NFL after they do take care of the Rams. And whoever wins that game will be, the favorites right now in at least the NFC, as the AFC only has 2 undefeated teams at this early point in the season. So I think the Bucs show up today. I think they play a really smooth ball game today, and I think they escape with a road victory against the Rams before the big Tom Brady return to New England next Sunday night.
Putting you on the spot, but I figure you probably know who do the Bucs play next week?
They're in New England Sunday Night Football.
Oh, that's right. That's the game everyone keeps talking about.
They're returning next week, and then I'll be in Tampa in 2 weeks. I'll be at the game for Bucks Dolphins 2 Sundays from today, so that should be a good time.
That's the game that I would be looking at the line to take the Dolphins with, because you're going to have a really big game here today. It's the Fox. What do they call it? The game of the week, or whatever the heck they call it, and then the Sunday night game in New England. There's going to be hype for that. I expect them to play a little flat 2 weeks from today. That's the one I would be keeping an eye on. Not saying they're going to lose to the Dolphins, but if they win those two, even more so, that line could be 14 points plus.
Yeah, not saying it'll grow as well. I think right now Brissett and Tua aren't too big of difference makers at the QB position, like in terms of how far apart they are. But some Tua truthers, the line could shift from that as well, because Tua is out for at least the next 3 weeks. So that's interesting as well. Dolphins will be playing.
The best thing that could happen to the betting world is the Bucks win the next 2 weeks. They'll be such huge favorites, and you slide under and grab the Dolphins on a backdoor cover. Joey, what is your one big thing?
My one big thing is a homer pick. The Indianapolis Colts will be in first place by Sunday Night Football at 1-2.
Which is so sad.
It's so sad. I didn't even want to say
a 4-way tie in the AFC South if the Jags pull off the upset today.
Mediocrity.
Yes, not even mediocre.
I know.
Losers.
Dang it.
But guess what? If you win the division, you get a ticket to the dance as well. All right, guys, well, great job. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Sean and Steven join us. Bobby's sticking around. You're listening to the Handicappers. If you got any sit-em questions, fire away. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Cool. Wizard versus nerd. I'll strike you down with my spell. No, science is the answer. Take me out to the ball game.
Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. It's Take Me Out to the Ball Game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays. Take Me Out to the Ball Game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel.
Take me out to the ball game.
ACC football covered like no other here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
And backpedaling, Lawrence flips it open, wide open. Justin Ross off and running. The Alabama native wins the foot race, and Clemson strengthens its grip on this championship game.
Wow, gut punch by Clemson right there.
Akers break free. Cam Akers in the clear. Foot race. And they finally shut him down at the 5. The electric play the nose needed.
He wants another deep shot. Drops it in.
Pitch it to Cersei. Cersei launches into the end zone, and the Yellow Jackets score again.
Armchair Quarterback Radio is ACC country. Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay. Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. We dive into the world of fantasy football year-long and your DFS payouts. The only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy in your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern, Sundays, all NFL season long.
Zitzchard. I'm not playing your stupid game.
Good morning. As everybody gets set to put their fantasy lineups in, as you realize you had Brandon Cooks on the bench in almost every league, because Tyrod Taylor wasn't playing, and you expected a low-scoring game. Good times, good times. Welcoming on to the show is Stephen Church. Stephen, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Hurricanes actually got a win yesterday, and I don't know if I have too much hope for the Dolphins today, but can't complain there.
Hurricanes got to win. Michigan got to win. Florida got to win. One of these kids is doing his own thing. Sean, how are you this morning, sir?
I am awesome. I'm coming off a great day of gambling. Michigan did everything I needed them to do. Covered the money line and didn't cover the spread, which I was all over. Had Notre Dame plus the 6.5.
I hit that the Rutgers plus 20.5.
Oh yeah, that's just way too much against Michigan, which primarily runs the ball. And I'm going on 3 straight weeks of some Sam Pittman love, because I am all in with the Pitt Hogs, because they have won me some tidy sums over the last couple of weeks. First against Texas and now against Texas A&M. Somewhere that's going to come back and bite me, but it hadn't done it yet. So Pig Suey. Great day yesterday. Looking for more of the same today. And week 3 is always, I'll get into some numbers later. Stephen and I talked about them kind of offline before the show, I think yesterday or Friday. Week 3 is traditionally one of the most interesting gambling weeks in the entire NFL season, because trends tend to get busted.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, I didn't really mention this because doing the college show, but Bobby got off the schneid on the stupid underdog picks, getting Georgia Tech on plus 13.5. So you're at 9.5. I've hit 3 consecutive weeks, and I go last because I'm leading the thing. I got NC State. I picked that game yesterday.
There you go.
I've done. It was NC State, Michigan State the week before, and I forget who I had the week before that. Anyways, I'm at 31 points. I've never seen it that high.
Way to go, Bobby. I promise. Yeah. There's a blackboard behind me. I promise not to write. I promise to write. I will not make Bobby breaking his cherry jokes 50 times during the course of this show.
All right, Sean, really quick, what you got on the MASH report today?
Yeah, the MASH report's pretty busy. So players out today. I'm just going to go through the whole list really quick, and then I'm going to talk about a couple of late ads and a couple of late pieces of information. Andy Dalton's obviously out. Justin Fields is in. Tua Tagovailoa out. Jacoby Brissett in. TJ Watt out for Pittsburgh, which is important. Deontay Johnson out for Pittsburgh, which is also important. Russell Gage out for Atlanta. Jamie Collins is out for Detroit, but that's completely different. Ronnie Stanley out for Baltimore. Justin Houston out for Baltimore. Brandon Williams out. Anthony Barr is listed out, which is a big deal for Minnesota, because I think they were hoping to have him back against Seattle. Tevin Coleman, Antonio Brown's obviously out for that Tampa Bay game. That might actually be a good thing. But Jason Pierre-Paul out on the opposite side of the ball for Tampa, and JaMychal Hasty is out for San Francisco. Players expected to play that have shown up as questionable during the week. Ben Roethlisberger expected to play, but probably not going to be effective if you've watched him this year. Derek Carr expected to play. Odell Beckham Jr. expected to play. Noah Fant expected to play. Tim Patrick expected to play. And Trey Sermon expected to play. Couple of late things just in the last 12 hours, if you didn't see them. T. Higgins is out against the Steelers, not expected to play today for the Bengals, which ups your Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase stock. Frank Clark and Chris Jones. Both showed up on the injury report. Clark is doubtful, will not play. Chris Jones is questionable with a wrist injury, but may give it a go. That could be important because they're going to want to rush at the ends. And Kansas City's not exactly the 85 Bears to start with. Carson Wentz is going to give it a go against the Titans. He's going to start. Dalvin Cook is looking very, very unlikely to go. In fact, last I saw, he was downgraded to doubtful. I don't think they're going to use him at all. So it's going to be the Madison show today. DeAndre Hopkins is questionable. Cliff Kingsbury said this morning, pretty confident he'll play, but not 100%, which is really tough, but could be good for your Rondale Moore stock if you're in on that game. And the most recent one to come through, Darrell Henderson, out against the Buccaneers. So it looks like it'll be primarily Sony Michel in the backfield for that game, which may not matter because I expect each quarterback to throw the ball about 57 times. So that's it. That's your mass report for week 3.
All right. As we dive into that, let's get into your lineups of integrity. We've already given ours. So, Steven, let's start with you, sir.
All right. I am rolling with my cash lineup again this week. So, at quarterback, I am starting out with Daniel Jones at 5,800. My running backs are Derrick Henry and Tyson Williams. Henry at 86, Tyson at 5,800. Receivers, I went Cooper Kupp at 68. Marvin Jones at 4,900, Tyler Boyd at 4,700. I really love the volume there with the T. Higgins out, and Pittsburgh has just been getting burned by the slot all year. Kyle Pitts at 4,900. I think this is the breakout game for him. And then I've got a guy.
It better be. I've got too many shares of him, man.
And I got Chris Godwin in my flex. He's at 6,100, and I punted my defense but there is some very real sack upside with the Bengals at 2,100.
All right. And Sean, what say you?
Yeah, starting at quarterback, I'm going to start with Derek Carr at 5,900. I don't trust anything going on in Miami. I'm sure we'll get to that game throughout the course of the hour. It's just it's bad vibes in Miami right now, and I'm amused by people who think Jacoby Brissett might be able to slot in. If you want me to pull my 15-year-old son in here to tell you what his Jacoby Brissett experience was like when he was the Colts quarterback, I'll gladly bring him in here so you can hear a 15-year-old go crazy for 4 minutes.
And show me where Jacoby Brissett hurt you.
Right. Point to the doll. Exactly. At running back, I decided to save a little bit of money here. There were a few plays that I liked, but there were two that really stuck out. Damian Harris first at home against New Orleans. Belichick's going to try and control the ball at 5,600. And New Orleans has some really terrifying run defense stats early this year, especially after first contact. Harris is a guy who does well after the first time somebody touches him. He's not going to run away from anybody. I don't expect an 80-yard breakout, but 26 for 125 and 2 touchdowns is definitely something I could see. And one that's a little bit lower down the board, but I really like, I'm just, despite my Jalen Ramsey clearance rack jersey, I'm not buying Jacksonville at all. And I'm taking James Conner at 5,000. He has been the back of choice inside the 30. It's been really weird how they've deployed their running backs, but he's been the back of choice inside the 30. And I think he's going to vulture some touchdowns. Wide receiver, really quick. I'm taking Justin Jefferson against Seattle. I mean, if you watched the Seattle-Tennessee game last week, Seattle just cannot cover. If they don't get to the quarterback within 5 seconds, they got nothing in the back end going on at all. And Jefferson, I think, could absolutely eat today in a game that I think is going to be really entertaining. It's definitely going to be my afternoon game of preference on the mix. Rondale Moore at 5,000. This is more of a leverage play, especially if Hopkins doesn't go. Last week was Moore's coming out party. I think a lot of people missed it because of the way that game ended and because there were some other wide receiver performances that caught folks' eye. But having watched Rondale Moore for 3 years in the Big Ten at Purdue, this dude is legit and as legit as they come. And everybody's going to find out sooner or later. And then I'm doubling down on Las Vegas. I'm taking Ruggs and Waller, 5,200 and 7,400. I just don't think – I think that game's going to be high scoring. They have traditionally played, entertaining games when they played in the past. And for anything you want to say about Gruden, when he's a spread favorite of more than 4 points, he very rarely covers that spread. So I think this game's going to be close, even though I think Vegas is a better team. And then in my flex, I'm actually going to go way off the board. Just wanted to prospect this game. I'm going to take TJ Hawkinson at 5,200, especially if Baltimore has a little bit of trouble getting to the quarterback. And he's Goff's number one read every single time. We saw that in the Monday night game. Obviously this game's in Detroit. It's inside a dome. It's climate controlled. So Goff's baby hands aren't going to, have the ball slipping out every 4 seconds. I think he's going to eat. And the only person in that linebacking core that can really cover Hawkinson is Patrick Queen, who's had kind of a disappointing start to his NFL career so far. And last but not least for my defense, I'm taking the Giants at 3,300. I'm not a believer in Atlanta scoring points despite what they did to Tampa last week. I think Tampa was up and then they, kind of took their foot off the clutch and off the gas and let Atlanta get back into it with some cheapies. I just don't buy it. And the Giants defense is a lot better than people believe. I'm not taking this game in picks because the numbers on Daniel Jones at home are terrifying. He's like 4-12-1 against the spread as a starter at home when he's getting more than 3 points. And I'm just not trusting that. But I do think the defense can especially get turnovers and sacks against Matt Ryan, who looks washed.
Okay. All right. So that takes us to bold predictions and cold predictions. Steven, let's start with you.
Man, I'm just going polar opposite of you, like right here, Sean. I'm not going strictly Daniel Jones or Giants here, full on team, but I think my bold prediction today, Darius Slayton's gonna have a coming out party. He's gonna score at least one long touchdown. Kenny Golladay is gonna be playing today, but he's gonna be seeing reduced snaps. Slayton still has been seeing a decent target share and decent ADOT average depth of target. I really think there's a strong shot at a touchdown there today. And then my cold prediction, AJ Brown just hasn't looked right this year, and I don't think he's gonna put up a big performance today. Seems like Julio's been the preferred target so far in the early going. So with AJ Brown, until I see it, I'm not gonna believe it.
His problem is he's dropping everything, and until he proves that he's not going to drop everything, they're going to continue to go to Rodgers. They're going to go to Julio. They'll dump underneath the Ferkser and run Henry run.
I mean, I Henry's gotten in the past 2 games more targets than he's ever gotten in his life.
I've watched those games front to back, and a lot of it has to do with you start losing. I mean, AJ Brown, the talent is there. So I'm not telling anyone to drop him. But he's getting to the point where he's almost going to have to burn you on your bench before you put him in.
Last year it didn't matter because there was no one else on that offense to throw to, so Tannehill was going to continue to feed him the ball.
He had issues last year too.
Oh, I know.
And what I was thinking going into the year was it would open up for him, which it has with Julio being there. The problem is he's not taking advantage of it until he does. Unless you've got a trash bench for receivers, you might want to seriously consider benching him.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, keep going, Sean.
Sean, what are your cold and bold predictions?
Here's my bold prediction. Since 1990, home dogs of 7 or more in week 3, which is usually teams that are 0-2, but not always. Home dogs of more than 7 points are 91, 59, and 4 in September. You can do the math on that. It's well over 65%. There are 2 home dogs of more than 7 points today. Jacksonville Jaguars, who are currently 7.5 against Arizona, and the Detroit Lions, who are currently 7.5 against Baltimore. I am, against my better judgment, taking the Lions on a lot of my cards today because despite the final score of that Green Bay game, they have been competitive in the first 3 quarters of both of their games this year. They covered against the Niners, and had it not started raining, baby hands Goff jokes aside, had it not started raining, Detroit was in that game before some untimely turnovers. Lamar Jackson's ill. They've got injuries on the defensive line. They've got injuries on the offensive line. What does Detroit do really well so far this year? They're actually the 3rd team in offensive rushing per DVOA in the entire National Football League. They've run the ball very well. I think Detroit covers the 7.5 easy. That's my bold prediction. My cold prediction, stay away from the San Francisco 49ers. Here's another one I looked at. Since Kyle Shanahan's been head coach, against the spread when a home favorite, they are 4-12-1. If you want to take Green Bay, go ahead. I am staying away from that game as much as I can because I don't know what to think of either of these teams. I got nothing. And their San Francisco's backfield terrifies me to no end because I don't ever know who's going to get 20 carries or if it's going to be 7 guys getting 7 carries. So don't back the Niners cold and take a look at the Lions. 7.5 is a lot to give in the National Football League. Bold.
All right. My one cold prediction is going to be that looking looking at all these matchups, I think a lot of people are under the impression that you're going to get a shootout in Los Angeles and Tampa Bay. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. It's everyone who's going to be dumping all their players in there, expecting to get big numbers, and they're excited because it's a late kickoff. It gives you something to watch on the national game of the week. I think you're going to be very disappointed in the output you're going to get if you're taking some of the lower tier guys in this game and putting them in. I would be very, very nervous about that. My bold prediction: the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to put an absolute scare into the Arizona Cardinals today. I don't know if they'll cover. Win. They'll definitely cover. And I believe that during that time period, if they're going to compete in this game, it means James Robinson is back. James Robinson will make an appearance for the 2021 fantasy season. If they continue with the same junk that they've been doing on offense and ignoring Robinson, you can start backing up the truck. We'll help Urban Meyer pack right after we get Mike Norvell's stuff put away on a U-Haul. We can just all use it in one thing. They can both go out there and coach Southern Cal together.
Yeah, it looked better against Denver last week, so it's not out of the cards.
Bobby, do you have a bold and cold prediction?
I do. Some guys I think are going to have a big week in fantasy. Marvin Jones, I mentioned him in my lineup. The Cardinals, like I said, they have a very banged up secondary this week. Byron Murphy and Marco Wilson are both questionable going into this game. And he's had 18 and 17 in the first 2 weeks. So I see Marvin Jones having a solid day today. And then Saquon Barkley, as disappointing as he has been the first 2 weeks, he's going up against a very bad Falcons defense. And I anticipate him having somewhat of a bounce back game. We'll see him probably score a touchdown or two, maybe. Hopefully he gets about 20 points because I have him in one of my lineups. So I think he'll have a solid day. And then a couple guys that I think are going to bust. They're both going to the game questionable, and that's one of the main reasons I have them. Darrell Henderson with the rib issue and Sony Michel taking some of his snaps. I think that's a little bit of a risky play this week. And then the other one is Kenny Golladay. I think he's going to be seeing a lot less snaps than usual. And truthfully, Sterling Shepard has been kind of the big fantasy scorer in that receiving core this year. So I'm staying away from both of those two guys.
All right, let's go ahead and do our DFS line build. I think it's my turn to start off with the stack, and next week, Bobby, it'll be yours. I'm gonna play this a little close to the vest on the stack. I'm not gonna go crazy because I want to give us ability to be able to go elsewhere in here. I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring ball game. So I'm going to go ahead and take Daniel Jones as our quarterback at only 5,800. It's going to open up the door for us to do a lot more. And I'm trying to find where's Sterling Shepard at. Does anyone know how much he is? I'm trying to find him.
He's 5,900.
59. Okay. I must have just went by him. There we go. So I'm going cheap with this to get us started. Daniel Jones and Shepard at 5,800, 5,900. So we can still average 5,400 per player, not even counting the defense, which obviously will drop it down much quicker than that. So I don't know whose turn it is, but Bobby, we'll start with you.
Sure thing. All right. I'll go with another fairly cheap option, Marvin Jones. Like I've mentioned, 4,900 is a great deal for someone who scored 17 and 18 in the first 2 weeks, and I think he's absolutely worth that.
We're gonna have with $6,000 left over. We're all going for the coupon clippers. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
You're good.
All right. So Steven, what you got?
Oh, I'll take the run back option here. I'll give me Kyle Pitts at 4,900. Fill out that stack. Like I was saying before, I think this is the breakout game for him.
Okay, so I think you said running back, but you're talking about Kyle Pitts, the tight end, right?
Yeah, Kyle Pitts at 4,900.
Okay. So Sean, that leaves you to go crazy on your spending spree here. We've only got no one has spent over 6,000 yet. We got Jones, Shepard, Jones, Pitts. I mean, that's not an all-star lineup here on a DFS. 5,700 remain average per player. Where are you going?
Well, in the words of a character from yours and mine's favorite movie, who I kind of look like thanks to the mustache, I'm your Huckleberry. I'll gladly go over 6,000 for you. So give me Austin Eckler at 7,200 because he is facing the 29th ranked rushing defense by DVOA. Kansas City couldn't stop anybody right now from running the ball. They probably can't stop MTSU, and MTSU barely runs the ball. So I'm going to go Austin Eckler at $7,200. I think he is going to be a big part of Brandon Staley's program today at Kansas City on the road.
Okay. I've been looking at Madison because it looks like Cook's not going to play, and they're going up against a very bad run defense. But my God, they want 6,000 for a guy that normally when he gets in doesn't perform like an RB1. So I don't know if I feel that good about that. So I'm gonna switch it around a little bit, and I do like Henry's ability today. I just don't know if we want to spend 8,600. If we want to go to Henry, we'll do it in the flex down the road. So I'm gonna go with Barkley, 6,500 today. He's had 10 days off. This is the game where he busts out. It's against Atlanta. It's at home. They've been building him up. I think he gets 15 touches plus today, and 6,500 is a pretty good get. So that leaves us back to, is it Bobby? With
yes,
we have wide receiver, flex, and defense available, averaging 4,900-ish per player.
I'll go ahead and grab our defense, and I'll stick with the Giants here at 3,300. I don't like what I've seen from the Falcons offense to start off the year. I do think Pitts could have a solid game, but I still think the Giants defense is going to probably create some turnovers and hold the Falcons offense to a limited amount of points.
Okay. And that goes back to Steven. You got wide receiver and flex, 5,750 is the average.
So I'm going to go receiver here, and I think I'm going to choose another guy that could have a really big breakout day. Chase Claypool at 5,800. We don't have Deontay Johnson today, and we saw last year that they are not afraid to use him in a variety of ways and to force him the ball. Well, what was it last year? Like his 4-touchdown game where he truly broke the slate.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, just that at 5,800. I mean, the only the other options there I see are Juju, Cortland Sutton, Robert Woods, Galladay, and Marquise Brown.
We've got an all-star wide receiving core today: Shepard, Marvin Jones, and Claypool. They better all break out, baby.
Yeah, Shepard and Jones already broke out. We just need Claypool.
Right. Well, we need production from them, and hopefully it's not just a dart throw.
Yeah.
Deontay being injured is interesting because they're probably gonna have to pass the ball because Cincinnati's run defense has been pretty good, and it's either gonna be him or Juju, and Claypool definitely has the higher ceiling. So I'm with you on that. So Sean, it's 5,700, and you got the flex position. Go anywhere you want, and curious to see where you go in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit off the board, and I'll explain my logic. I'm going to go with one of my favorite player nicknames, Bobby Trees, Mr. Robert Woods. I'm going to spend the whole 5,700, and here's why. Tampa Bay, I believe, is going to bracket Cooper Kupp all day long. They're not going to let Kupp beat them. They're going to force Stafford to throw underneath and to throw those crossing routes and drag routes, and his primary target on those routes this year at almost an 80% clip is young Mr. Bobby Trees. Van Jefferson takes the top off. He's the go route guy. Kupp is always running those post routes. They'll throw him deep a little bit, but he's really the 10-yard out and the post guy. Trees is going to be open underneath against the Tampa Bay secondary that's been a little, it's been a little off so far. It hasn't quite had the pop and sizzle yet that I've expected. I agree with you that I don't think this game hits the over, but give me Bobby Trees at 5,700 because I smell 9 catches, 111 yards, and maybe a touchdown if he can break one.
Okay, so that has it. Our DFS team build exercise. It's Daniel Jones, Eckler, Barkley, Shepard, Marvin Jones, Claypool, Pitts, Robert Woods, and the Giants defense. And here's hoping every single one of them have a KJ Osborne type game this week. And we all, ding, 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 ding.
Great call last week.
Yeah.
It was a dart throw. It was kind of an educated guess, but still, if you said it, told you, I knew he was going to go to the house on 70 yards. That was a given. Isn't that lies, secrets and lies? Bobby, we're coming up on it. So what is your lock of the day and what is your one big thing as you walk off?
My lock of the day, I'm going to take Darren Waller over 6.5 receptions. The Dolphins have allowed quite a bit of fantasy points to the tight ends this year so far in the first 2 weeks. And Waller, although he didn't have a big week last week, I kind of predicted that. I didn't think he would do much against the Steelers defense, but he's now going up against the Dolphins. I expect a bounce back game. He'll probably get a lot of targets, and I definitely see him getting over 6.5 catches. And then my one big thing, I think the Saints are going to go.
Number.
What's up?
I said that seems like a really low number, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's why I was comfortable taking that. But yeah, and then my one big thing today, I think the Saints are going to go into Foxborough as the underdogs, and I think they're going to beat the Patriots. And I see Kamara having a big game. Last week, Michael Carter, he kind of tore up that Patriots defense, and this week, I think, going up against Kamara, he's going to have a monster day.
All right, brother. Well, we will see you next Saturday on the Dixie Football Nation. Great job, and hopefully your undefeated streak continues as Bobby's 2-0 on the very young season.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. If you're just joining us, we're 6-4 overall for the year. Pretty good start. 15-5 on the Dixie Football Nation. We're coming shooting out the gate with that one.
Mm-hmm.
That is not bound to stay up like that. College football is so difficult to try to pick week in and week out. You don't know which kid went to a rager the night before and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, 6-4, I'll take that. Look at 60% winning percentage already, and I feel like we've had a couple of bad luck ones to mix in there. So far, get everyone caught up to speed. We'll do our picks here in a little bit. Joey took the Steelers -3. Tones took the Jets +10.5, and then Bobby just took Darren Waller to go over 6.5 receptions. So here we go here into the I'm very curious about this anyways. I'm pulling this up on the site. If that's because this site here tends to be off a bit, but I wonder what their over under for the receptions on him is, on what Waller's. I don't even have one for him, so they're not even giving a line. They're like, no way, dude, you kiss it. we're not giving you all they're giving you options for is Hunter Renfrow, Brian Edwards. Yeah, good one. I'm gonna take a guess on whether or not Kenyon Drake's gonna get 34.5 yards rushing. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, okay.
It said I've got it at 6.5 on the Caesar Sportsbook right now, and it's 75.5 yards. So
yeah,
6.5 on Bet Online.
Yep.
This one here that I'm on, if they don't like the line, they just don't post it.
Yep.
Is what I've learned with that. So you can bet on whether Jacoby Brissett is going to have over 20.5 completions. Is that
under?
Right?
Under.
You're going to let me do that? All right. Let's go ahead and get into Stardom Situm. So go ahead and start the clock on this thing as we get ready for Stardom Situm here. And okay, Calvin Ridley or Hollywood Brown, his quarterback is Lamar Jackson. Sean, I'll start with you. This seems like a no-brainer to me, but I'll go ahead and start with you.
Lions secondary is beat up. Contrary to what I said earlier, I do think the Lions keep it close, but Hollywood could break a couple and make you regret that if you don't put him in your lineup. Tough one, but I would almost start Hollywood because you're stacking your quarterback. You're counting on it.
Steven, what say you?
I'm going to go the opposite way. I mean, I'm scared of that James Bradbury matchup, but Calvin Ridley has one of the highest target shares in the league. He's still getting the volume. It's just a matter of when the touchdowns are going to come. I mean, like Hollywood can break off a lot. He has looked great the past 2 games, even last few games going back to last season. But there's a lot more ways that the Lions can win, and I'm going to go Ridley there. I can't sit the elite.
If you have Ridley on your team, you probably drafted him in the 2nd, 3rd round at the very latest, right? If you have Hollywood Brown on your team, where the heck did I get Marvin from? You probably picked him up off the waiver wire this week. Dude, I've got to go with Ridley. There's no way I'm going to be – no. I get Sean's idea of it, And I buy into that. If we're not talking about Calvin Ridley, if we're talking about somebody else, I'm like, okay, I'll take a swing with Brown. But my God, you know how much you'd be kicking yourself if that game turns into a shootout and Ridley has 200 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. Like, man, I sure am glad I burned my 2nd round pick on that guy that I'm sitting on the bench right now, because all of a sudden DeAndre Swift decided not to be banged up, and they're going just feeding him left and right. All right, here's the next one. It's a flex. It's Sermon, White, Harris, or Cephas in the flex. Just picking one.
Harris.
Damian Harris.
Harris.
It is a full point PPR. I think I might have left that out.
Full point PPR. I'm going to go James White. He's seen he's seen a lot of targets past 2 games. Mac Jones seems to lean on him a lot. I'm going to go James White here.
Full point PPR changes my mind, and I would actually say Cephas, because
y'all did say Damian Harris, right?
Yeah.
It's Damian. Not Najee. Man, full point PPR. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna go Bo Cephas, man. I like the fact that they're probably gonna be from behind. They're in the dome. They're gonna be tossing it around. We saw how much he's in a full point PPR. That could be 5-6 points alone just in receptions.
Yeah.
Sermon just concerns me because when the kickoff is and whatnot, you're just not going to have any information. So if you hold on and it's 7:30 at night and you're like, oh man, now I got to stream someone tomorrow night.
You got no idea what Kyle's going to do with that backfield. Never
Right.
has. I mean, it's just
Nothing better than having your chips in a Shanahan backfield.
Right.
Let's go. Did they cut him? Why has he not touched the game? Texting everyone, at like halftime. What happened?
He's a healthy scratch. This isn't the Winnipeg Jets. Get him on the field.
They found him down in Mexico City with Gronk, man. It's over. He's not coming to the game. Okay, next one, flex options. Devontae Smith, Kareem Hunt, or Rondell Moore. Start with Steven.
I'm going to go Devontae Smith. I mean, the numbers don't look like it, but he's gotten a lot of opportunity, and Jalen Hurts has looked fantastic this season. Rondale Moore is still waiting on the Hopkins news there. So yeah, I'm going to go
Sean.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I like a lot of things in the Eagles-Cowboys game tonight, but I'm going to wait until after the early slate before I decide to put anything into it. I'm just going Rondale Moore. It looks like even if Hopkins gives it a go, he's not going to be 100%. So I think they're going to limit his snaps because they don't want to lose him for 4 to 6 weeks. So I brought him up when I did my lineup of integrity. I think Rondale Moore could eat today.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Devontae Smith. I'm looking at gameplay, and I feel like they're gonna have to score to keep up. And I think Hunt's gonna be in a game where he should be leading. Rondale's in a game where he should be leading. I just feel like Devontae Smith is gonna be out there. This could be his coming out party on Monday Night Football, and I definitely want to be a part of that. In a flex spot, you can either start Gronk, Kittle, or Bobby Trees, as Sean affectionately calls him. Sean, we'll start with you.
Gronk's getting a lot of love right now, but his target share has actually been inside the 20. He's just getting a lot of touchdowns. So you have to temper that. So it really comes down to Kittle or Bobby Trees. I'm going to say Kittle just because Green Bay's linebacking core and defensive secondary is really challenged. I mean, you saw even in inclement weather how easy Goff would get to his first and second read. They don't have a great pass rush. So give me Kittle, especially because I got no idea what's going on in that backfield. I think they might lean on Garoppolo a bit more than people are expecting today.
Steven, what say you?
No, Sean took the word out of my mouth. Kittle.
Yeah, it's between Kittle and Woods to me. And I think I'm going to go with Kittle because the last time we've seen San Francisco dominate Green Bay recently. And even if they don't, I do think they'll put up some points, and they're going to have to get Kittle involved because it's just like the Shanahan backfield, the Shanahan receiving core. You don't know what's going on there, but you do know Kittle is going to eat. Okay. Let me see here. What's the next one up on the board? Oh, kind of flipped around on me. Here we go. In a 12-team league, do I start Brady or Jalen Hurts? Sean.
Brady.
Steven?
Yeah, Brady. No, I don't think you can go wrong, but just he's looked unstoppable so far.
Yeah, I'd have a really hard time. I'd have a really hard time benching Brady. Hurts could be in a shootout, but you should at least get solid production out of Brady. I would think you at least get a couple of touchdown passes. I think the floor for Brady might be the ceiling for Hurts, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I say go with Brady. Can only start 3 running backs: Najee Harris, Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison, and Saquon Barkley. Now, for people just joining us, it looks like Dalvin Cook will not play today. Sean, we'll start with you.
Subtract Madison and start the other 3. I'm not a believer in Madison. We've all had a cup of coffee with Alexander Madison. He's not Dalvin Cook.
He just does not.
He's mediocre. There's a reason he's a backup. Like those other 3 names are guys who could all pop.
He runs all twitchy, so he's exciting on the screen. So you think he's gonna like break out, but then he just gets caught behind the line. It's like, man, you're like a really poor version of Barry Sanders. Do you see it any different, Steven?
No, Sid Madison.
I really think that Saquon Barkley is going to bust out this week. I just think they've been pointing to this game, going, "All right, man, we're not going to first game get your feet wet. Second game, it was a short week. We're not going to go crazy. Now we got a long week, and God, I hope so, because I've got him in a few leagues, and it's time for him to go." Pick 3 of these running backs: Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, and Tyson Williams. Sean.
Oh my God. It's probably against common logic, but I would sit Harris. I actually like Tyson Williams today against Detroit. And I wouldn't sit either of the other 2. I would sit Harris. If you haven't watched a lot of Cincinnati games, and you'd be forgiven, their run defense has been very, very solid the first 2 games. They haven't allowed a lot on the ground.
Steven?
Yeah, no, Tyson's a lock for me. I'll sit Harris there.
Man, I have a hard time sitting Harris just because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I don't know how deep of a league that guy's name is Bobby. I don't know how deep your league is, but if you have Henry, Taylor, and Najee Harris, those were probably your first 3 picks. And to bench one just because he got off to a slow start, the matchup is better with Tyson, but I think I would stick with I would stick with my early draft picks. I have a rule that I don't start flailing from them until around week 5 or until my team is like 0-3. Then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we're doing something wrong here. One start: Steven, Singletary, Sermon, Chark, or Kirk. Obviously, this is a flex. I don't have whether or not it's a PPR or not.
If you ask me this question next week, it may be Sermon, depending how this game goes. But I'm gonna go Chark here.
Sean?
I'm gonna go Singletary. If you didn't watch any of the previous 2 WFT games, their defense is really kind of, and I was big on them coming into the year, but then I got some advanced stats on them. They ate a lot against bad quarterbacks in the last 6 weeks of last year. They haven't looked good.
I'm not ready to give up on them yet. Just from gameplay, I think I'd go Chark, even though I don't have a lot of faith in it. I really want to say Sermon, but you're going to have to convince me a lot harder, Sean, to start a Buffalo running back against the Washington football team defense. That's just 2020 tells me don't do it. So it's still in my head. Choose one at the flex: Devontae Smith, Tony Pollard, or Javonte Williams. Steven.
Repeat him again.
Devontae Smith, Tony Pollard, or Javonte Williams.
That's a good problem to have.
It's a half-point PPR.
I'm going to stick Devontae Smith.
Sean?
I am also going to go Devontae Smith.
I'll make it 3. Okay, flex spot. Help. I think we already know the answer to this, but Steven, Justin Jackson, DJ Chark, or Chase Poole?
I'm gonna go Claypool. I think Chark has the higher floor. Claypool has the higher ceiling.
Sean, in a flex spot, full PPR league, White, Drake, or Patterson or Sermon, can only pick one. Full point PPR, White from the Pats, Kenyon Drake, Patterson, or Sermon.
Interesting. Give me Kenyon Drake. Especially if Jacobs is still hampered, which it seems likely.
Steven?
Yeah, just give me Drake there.
I think I'd roll the dice. I'd roll the dice with Patterson, but I don't feel good about any of those. Once again, so if you have an option that you could wait to see what's going to happen with Sermon on Sunday night, and maybe you have an option for Monday night, then I would hold off. But if you have to make the decision by kickoff, then of the 1 o'clock games, I think I'm going to go Patterson just because I feel like that game's going to be a little high scoring. Lamar Jackson is Marcus's quarterback, and he wants to know, do I start Hollywood Brown at the flex and bet on a big game, or do I go with Darrell Henderson, Javonte Williams, and Sterling Shepard? I'm down 40 points after Thursday night.
Darrell Henderson is out.
Darrell Henderson's out. Scratch him up.
So, I mean, I theoretically, all of them could have big games. Read the names again.
Javonte Williams, Darrell Henderson, Sterling Shepard.
I would
or Hollywood Brown with Lamar Jackson as his quarterback.
No, I'd go Hollywood then, just to try to stack the points.
Okay. Sean?
I would be a contrarian, and I would say put Javonte Williams in. Denver hasn't shown a lot of dedication to the run yet, but I think it's coming, and that could be a game where Denver's up 28-3 in the second quarter, and they're just feeding Williams over and over and over.
I think I'm going to go with just because of the circumstances. I think I'm going to go Hollywood Brown because the problem with Javonte Williams is he's going to be very touchdown dependent. Whereas if you have Hollywood Brown, I don't have whether or not it's a full point or no, he
said full point.
Okay. I feel like Hollywood Brown could he might outscore all those guys other than Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard's the only one that I would think about putting in, but you got Lamar Jackson as your quarterback. So what are we talking about here, right? One flex player, Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. Sean?
Boy, that's exciting. Give me Jamar Chase. I don't have a lot of action on Cincinnati, but I think they're going to have to control.
Steven?
Yeah, Jamar Chase. I like Jamar Chase this week again.
I think I'll make it 3. I'm really intrigued with Devontae Smith, but it's really just my imagination getting away from me, wanting to know what it's going to be like on a Monday night football game. You know, you finally get Devontae Smith under the bright lights since the Heisman Trophy, that kind of thing. So I think the safer play is Chase. Corey, all right, so you got Patterson, Pollard, or Myers in a flex spot, and it is a PPR league. So Patterson, Cordell Patterson, Tony Pollard, or Jacoby Myers in a flex spot. Steven? Full point PPR.
I'm going to go Tony Pollard there. I really don't like the other two options.
Sean?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Jacoby Myers. It hasn't cashed yet, but I feel like it's coming. And I'm not a believer in New Orleans. I think everybody is really off their scent based on how their first 2 games have gone, because great against Green Bay, bad against Carolina. I'm not on the New Orleans is going to play well in New England train. Not one bit.
I'm expecting a low scoring game in that game. So I'm I'll go with Pollard too. I just expect that to be more of a high scoring game. Rondale Moore over Antonio Gibson this week. Sean.
No. Start Gibson.
Steven.
It's tempting, but yeah, you got to ride Gibson at least a couple more weeks.
Full PPR, Beasley, Chenault, and Cephas. Can only pick one. Sean.
Cephas. Don't ride him till he butts you.
Oh, Cephas.
Beasley. Washington's been torn apart by the slot, and Beasley is just one of Allen's most trusted targets.
If I assured you that he is not related to Pam, does that change your answer?
No.
Pam Beasley? Nothing? Okay. Okay. Debo, CEH, or Rondale Moore? It is a full point PPR, Steven.
Here, give me Rondale. I think Jay Alexander is going to be on Debo, and just CEH hasn't shown it for me yet.
Sean?
Same. I got nothing to add to that.
I agree. Running back in a 12-teamer, PPR. Whoop, never just lost that sucker. What the heck just happened there? Jerk offs. All right, so give me 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves as I try to figure out what the heck just happened to all the ones that I had pulled up. And
like Sean, like one thing I was going to ask earlier about that whole debate with your high round picks. Would you go Hollywood Brown or AJ Brown this week?
Whew. It's only week 3, man. You still got to start your high round picks. It's not panic time yet. That's how you get in. I have done this myself many a times, have not started my high round picks in week 1 and started guys for matchups. And it's just like, you got to give it a few weeks and let guys get going. I do still think there's something going on that's concerning in Nashville with the Titans offensively, losing Arthur Smith and plugging in this new offensive coordinator who is not as imaginative as Arthur Smith, and losing Jonnu. I do think it's having an impact on AJ Brown, but this could be a get right week for them big time. I hope my 15-year-old son's not listening. I don't think the Colts are good, and I don't think Carson Wentz is good. And I think he's playing on 2 bad ankles. And I don't know. This could be a real get right week for the Titans, coming off a big win on the road.
I mean,
we're back. I don't know what happened to the site there, man. It went crazy that I couldn't get back to it. I thought I'd blocked I blocked myself. I was like, what's going on here, man? All right. All right, here we go. Here's an interesting one. A trade question. Trade Chris Carson and Chenault for Christian McCaffrey and Cortland Sutton. What?
How about no? How about don't ever do that? Never.
Why in God's name would you trade Christian McCaffrey after he's going to be out a couple of weeks? Cortland Sutton greater than Chenault. And no, this is insane. If I'd have read it before I regurgitated, I would have never said it. It's insane. Now, if you're getting that trade, get it and find the commissioner fast. Say, push it through. Kickoff's coming. Robert Woods or Cortland Sutton? Sean.
Bobby Trees.
Steven.
Bobby Trees, but do not overlook what Cortland Sutton did last week. He could be a big player going forward.
Yeah, I think Sutton has the bigger day because it's the Jets. And I keep banging the table on that. I might be wildly wrong, but I feel like that's going to be a low-scoring game out in Los Angeles. Here is 3 running backs should start. Yeah, we've essentially already done that one. Let me get another one. Here we go. On Marquise Brown, Tyler Boyd, Michael Pittman, James White. It's a flex. It's 2 flexes, so you can pick 2 of these guys. Hollywood, Boyd, Pittman, James White, full point PPR. Steven, what say you?
You said how many?
2 of those 4. It's a double flex.
Let me go Boyd and Pittman. Boyd, like Boyd's going to get a lot of targets this week, and Pittman could I think he's going to get a big bomb against that worse than bad Titans secondary.
And Sean, the last one we'll do today is a flex. Hunt, Chenault, Mooney, or KJ Osborne. Pick just one. It's a full point PPR. Hunt,
Chenault,
Mooney, or KJ Osborne.
Chenault, Mooney, KJ Osborne. Give me Kareem Hunt. I do not like Chicago in that game one bit.
Fair enough. Okay. Which, by the way, I swung for the fences since I won last week. I went crazy this week, and I put Justin Fields as my quarterback stack in our DFS league. So we'll see what happens. He's going to get a long one day. Allen Robinson's going to be pay dirt, baby. Okay. So that takes us to our locks of the day. Sean, let's start with you.
I'm going to finish exactly where I started. Call me crazy if you want to. Detroit Lions plus 7.5 at home against the Baltimore Ravens. Lock it in.
Detroit plus 7.5.
I like it.
I'm curious about something because I thought it was actually a better line than that. But is that what you're showing right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm showing it at 7.5. Jacksonville and Arizona, depending on which book you're on. I took it at 7.5, but it's actually now up to 8 on Caesars, but the Lions are still at 7.5.
Well, if you grab it on BetUS, it's plus 9.
Ooh.
So I'm going to give you the benefit of the Ducks since we always go off of this book with our picks. So plus 9, Detroit. The Jacksonville line is up that high too as well. 9. Yeah, those are big lines. The Jets.
Those are some tasty dog treats.
Jets are still sitting fair at 10. Steven, what is your lock of the day?
Call me crazy, but the Saints have been on the road since the preseason. They went to Jacksonville after supposed to have a home game week 1. Then they go to Carolina to get drubbed week 2. And their reward for that is they get to go into New England.
Speaking my language.
They're
Give
only
it to me.
They're only a 3-point favorite. I mean, I think that team is just going to be worn down. And one of the biggest things, Jameis Winston, he is the two worst coverages. The two coverages he is worst against are cover 1 and cover 3, which Bill Belichick runs at not like those are the two coverages he runs at the highest rate. Not only for his team, but in the league. He runs cover 1, I believe, at the 5th highest rate and cover 3 at the 11th highest rate. In those scenarios, Jameis is cover 1. He's a 1-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. Against cover 3, 5 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. I like Mac Jones has looked a lot better than people have given him credit for. I think just -3 is a asinine line.
What's crazy is that the money's coming in on the Saints this morning out in Vegas. I was watching a show and I was like, really?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Because I actually jumped on it early in the week when it was 2.5 and I jumped on the Patriots. I was like, well, maybe I've made a mistake, but
I think like Monday, I bet that I placed this bet and I was thinking it was going to go to like more like -5, -6.
Is it just because people are still remembering the big win in the first week because they did not look good against Carolina? And the other thing that is, as you just laid out, they've been on the road for a long time. And I feel like that's eventually going to catch up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I like they got Lattimore. They get Marshawn Lattimore back this week, but I still think it's going to be enough. I think they need the Saints need to get home, get into a good matchup, and I mean, just especially after all that, the last person I want to face is Bill Belichick in New England.
My lock of the day is, let me see if it's still there. Yeah, it's actually gone down a half point, which makes it even better for me. I'm going to go with the Falcons and Giants. Over under is sitting at 47. I think it goes far above that. And I was really close to taking the Pats Bucks, and I did take it on my book on the under, but that it just seems like Falcons and Giants are going to put up more than 47 total points. So for this to stay under like that, it's going to have to be like a 24-21 ball game. And I don't believe either one of these teams have shown that they can stop the other. And I expect to see a big game from Falcons. I expect to see a big game from Giants. I just feel like it's going to be not crazy, But I can see a 31-27 type game, which would clearly hit the 47. And it's crystal clear in New York City this morning, 60-something degrees at kickoff. Perfect time for football. Perfect day for football. I'm liking it a lot. Sean, what's your one big thing as we walk off?
My one big thing, I saved this stat for the end, but it alludes to the previous two that I gave you. Since 2010, 0-2 teams are 52, 36, and 1 against the spread in week 3 when they're a dog. That is a win rate of 68%. Some 0-2 team is going to cover the spread today, if not multiple. And history tells us more than one is probably going to win. One game to keep an eye on really quick. We talked about Vegas, Miami, but not enough. Some weird reason, I was listening to a Sharp show that I listen to on Sunday mornings. 80% of the bets are on the Raiders, but only 52% of the money is on the Raiders. So for some reason, the public and the Sharps think that Miami is going to keep that game close. I don't agree. I'm taking Las Vegas all the way in that game, but keep an eye, as we get closer to kickoff on where the public money is coming in, where the Sharp money is coming in, if that's a thing that you prescribe to, and everybody enjoy the football.
Steven, what say you? What's your one big thing?
Yeah, like Sean actually said a lot of it, but my one big thing today is just be ready for some upsets. If you're playing survivor pools, if you're doing pick'em contests, do not be afraid to go against the grain today. It's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of chaos, and this is usually the get right week for some teams. The bottom falls out for the players that started hot. Just prepare for chaos and madness.
My one big thing is, well, first of all, everyone who's been watching the play-by-play broadcast, I appreciate all the nice feedback. And from the one that we did originally on Friday night last week with the Braves Giants that kicked this whole thing off, to the Monday night game that I did with these guys, and then also the play-by-plays I've been doing all week, we're well over 10,000 views off of those ball games, which is pretty good for this little station. So that will continue. Not doing a game today. People have asked me about it. I've got some things going on here at home where we've got a family member that's not doing too well, and I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to get all emotional and stuff here. But I am going to be back Tuesday night, and I'm bringing every Braves-Phillies game and every Braves game to you the rest of the way, as we will be – it'll be 7:20 first pitch each of those nights, as long as the games are relevant. Now, if Philly comes in and sweeps us and we get swept by the Mets, and it is what it is. But we're also planning on doing a lot of Major League Baseball playoffs. And Teamus has already signed up to do the American League wild card game. That's assuming Boston's in it, so we'll see what happens there because they've lost it the last two. So, I am still pulling for that Boston-New York showdown. That's what I want to see in the wild card playoff. Nobody wants to see the stupid Blue Jays or Mariners in there. And then as far as today goes, my one big thing is, baby boys, Titans, if you're going to have a good year, man, you got to take care of, as they say, take care of your business at home. You better win the home game against the Colts with a banged-up Wentz, because you never went up in Indianapolis. And everyone enjoy the games. Of course, the Bucks Rams is going to be just phenomenal.
Troch always tries to talk me out of parlays because he's my consigliere and he fails pretty much.
No, all I say is just place individual bets on your parlay. That's my only.
You are correct.
If you want to throw a $5 parlay on something stupid, do it.
It's always $5. It's never a lot of money. I'll just leave everybody with this. Patriots -2.5, Titans -5. I just took it plus 285. That's actually, that's not bad. So as far as parlays go, because I've done some dumber ones. I got some real dumb ones today.
I think of parlays,
I'm going to text them the Troch offline. They're real dumb.
Oh yeah, I think I have like a 13-leg one going today.
Your traditional parlays is 3 or 4 or more. So that's what I'm talking about with parlays. That's just a double bet on the whatever. I don't hate the double bets. I'd still say if you're going to do that, you might as well put $5 on this game and $5 on that game and just call it a day. But because it takes one, you're like, oh man, you serious? Oh man, and it's just that pie in the sky type of stuff. It's like the dude that you sent me earlier in the week about the Lions. If they would have won, he would have won X amount of money. Like, yeah, but it wasn't a realistic bet. the Lions are gonna have to go into the mouth of it all in Lambeau Field on Monday Night Football and win. And it's like, yeah, it's just, hey, oh, well, if you take the Jaguars to win today and the Jets, and you go ahead and couple that with Florida State going out and just running the table the rest of the way, I could be a millionaire by around early December.
Right. That's like when someone hits the Powerball and you say, "Oh, if I had bought a ticket, it would have been me." No, it wasn't.
No,
that's not the same.
It's just been one more dollar in that jerk off's pocket.
Right. Exactly.
All right, guys, great job. Go ahead and set your lineups. Good luck today, unless you're playing me. I've got some issues. And we'll see you next Sunday here on the Handicappers.
Bye, guys.
Good luck, everybody.